City Council as a recommending body to assist with any decisions related to planning and zoning. The recommendations we make tonight will be forwarded to the City Council at their next meeting, which is Monday, January 13th at 7:30 p.m. Would you please stand with me and join in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Does the staff or any commission member have any changes to recommend to the agenda? I think there's one typo on the end. It says place hearing scheduled for January 21st, 2024. It's actually 2025. That's the only thing on there.
New business section 2?
Yes, new business section 2. It's the public hearing for that will be 2025. Are there any other? Okay. If not, do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Okay. Rosemary, second. Thank you. Rosemary made the motion. Brian seconded. Okay. All in favor? Do I have a motion to adopt our minutes from the November 18th meeting as written?
Motion.
Brian, second. Thank you. Mark, all in favor?
I'm recused.
Okay.
Motion carried.
Okay. Are there any board comments prior to us stepping into tonight? Any board comments? Okay. At this time, I'll open the floor for any public comments. You may speak up to 3 minutes on any topic not related to the public hearing items being addressed tonight. Again, those are for anything not addressed tonight. We ask that you hold all comments related to public hearing on the agenda until after the cases have been introduced and the public hearing opened. Is there anyone who would like to address the commission tonight? Seeing none?
Can you clarify?
Oh, sorry, we do have one?
I have some comments, but I don't understand what you just said about.
Oh, okay, yeah, let me restate that. Tonight, we will have 2 agenda items. There will be a comment section for the first agenda item. The second one, there won't be, it's a zoning issue that'll be coming up on the 21st when that's done. But if you have comments that you'd like to make to the city that do not involve any of the items that we're going to be speaking about tonight, that's what this is open. If you have something about tonight, actually I don't know that we're opening for tonight, but we could open that if you have something. But if it's about tonight, is this something regarding what we're talking about tonight?
First item under old business, public hearing, RS-100.
Yes, we'll give you a time later to do that. While we're on that, if you plan to speak tonight, if there are cards in the back, yes, thank you. If you would turn them in to Ms. Landers up here in the front, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Aside from these that will be speaking later, is there anyone that has any comments for the city tonight and not regarding items on the business agenda tonight? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the first item on our agenda, old business, public hearing, RZ 24-004. I'd like to remind everybody that this is an official public meeting. Please help us to maintain an orderly meeting. Should you have any opportunity to make comments, either in support or opposition to this case, please address all comments to the board, not to the staff or to the audience. From the lectern, we also ask that you give your name, address, and whether you live in the city limits of Sugar Hill. We'll be providing a total of 10 minutes for each side, those in favor and those in opposition. If there are multiple people who wish to speak on either side, you will be expected to divide those 10 minutes among yourselves. We'll keep track of the total time. Any time used for questions by the board, if we ask you questions, will not consume any of the total. Staff, could you introduce RZ 24004, Whitehead Road Investments?
Good evening. This is rezoning case 24-004 for 1036 and 1040 Whitehead Road. So just a quick update, since we've seen this case a few times. It was first brought before you all in August with a public hearing, and then a public hearing before City Council in September. It was then remanded back to Planning Commission for the September meeting. There was an additional public hearing at the October City Council where a motion to approve with amended conditions passed. Mayor Henry vetoed that approval with amended conditions, and at the December meeting, the veto held, meaning the case is back on the table, and council remanded it back to Planning Commission for an additional public hearing on the revised site plan, as well as there will be a public hearing at the January City Council meetings. The parcels, it's two parcels, 4.61 acres in total along Whitehead Road, shown here. The parcels are zoned agricultural forest in the green, and then RS-100 and RS-150 within the town center overlay. The parcels do border the central business district to the northeastern property, and are surrounded by LM, BG, and residential zonings. The two subject parcels are part of a larger project that is outlined here in the orange. The overall project is in the orange, and then the kind of tinted purple parcels are the two subject parcels that we are talking about tonight. The parcels highlighted in yellow are the City of Sugar Hill owned parcels. That council directed for the city to enter into an MOU with the property owners of the subject parcels. This is the survey. It shows the Champion Tree, frontage on Whitehead Road and West Broad Street. This is Exhibit 1 for the properties. These are the two subject parcels. This shows a total of 32 units over 4.61 acres, which rounds out to about 7 units an acre. The parcels have a variety of housing types, including attached and detached projects, but about approximately 85% of the units of the total project are detached products. They have smaller lot sizes, but as you can see shown in the picture, they have community green spaces, connectivity throughout. They have sidewalks connecting to Whitehead Road, as well as to the larger project as a whole. Here is an image of the whole project. This is Exhibit 2. As you can see, it continues to have a variety of housing types throughout the project. There's green spaces throughout the project, as well as sidewalks connecting residents to the larger community. Located right off of downtown, the core downtown Sugar Hill area, this higher density project of housing units provides a transition of intensity from the multifamily projects, from the Holbrook, from commercial projects down Whitehead Road, where there are residential neighborhoods and homes lining that street. Additionally, the connectivity would be throughout the whole entire community, located near the Greenway, as well as, I said before, our kind of core downtown area, restaurants, other green spaces, and activity areas. The applicant has also submitted several concept designs. These are not, final elevations. These would be required to go through design review approval, as well as the whole project as a whole. The rezoning request is to rezone to RS-100 within the central business district. The property is currently shaded on the property directly to the east with the largest chunk that is the houses. That is currently zoned within the central business district, so It would be bringing the subject parcels into conformance with the neighboring property. Additionally, the expansion of the central business district would require design review or approval in the future. There are the concept plans submitted. There are a variety of different units, different housing sizes, different looks to accommodate different housing needs that different folks in the community have. Some are larger, some are smaller. Here is Plan F. Here is an additional plan. This is a 2-story building with 2 bedrooms. Plan A, this is another 2-story building. And then Plan C, this is a 3-story building with a parking garage on the bottom level. Staff is recommending approval of the request to rezone 1036 and 1040 Whitehead Road to RS-100 and to expand the boundaries of the central business district with several conditions. The first condition is site plan conformance. It also includes parcel 7306017, which is it's about 6-acre parcel that is the largest parcel with housing units directly to the east of the subject parcels, as well as the city-owned parcels, and these would be required to go through design review board approval. So any potential changes brought on by that public hearing process would be allowed. Other than that, it would be required to be conforming to site plans shown in exhibits 1 and 2. Number 2 is for the buffers against 7306011A and 7306008 shall be no less than 15 feet, including a 5-foot landscape strip to be substantially landscaped and screened, subject to approval and review by the planning director. Number 3 is that all alleys, parking areas, sidewalks, streetlights, common area landscaping, and private stormwater infrastructure shall be privately owned and maintained by the homeowners association. Developer shall establish a capital reserve fund with a minimum balance of $50,000 for the HOA to use for future maintenance prior to the certificate of occupancy for 50% of homes. Number 4, the cost of all stormwater management facilities shall be paid for by the developer. Number 5, density of the project shall not exceed 157 units as depicted in Exhibit 2 and shall be limited to 7 units per acre on the subject properties. Number 6, on-street parking shall not be allowed on Whitehead Road. Number 7, at least 3 natural gas appliances shall be installed within each residential unit prior to the certificate of occupancy. Number 8, covenants shall stipulate.
By the way, we haven't switched screens. Oh, now we do.
Number 7, at least 3 natural gas appliances shall be installed within each residential unit prior to a CO. Number 8, covenant shall stipulate no more than 10% of the total number of dwelling units are allowed to be leased at any one time on the subject properties. And number 9, no direct vehicular connection shall be provided from Bailey Avenue to Whitehead Road per the site plan exhibits 1 and 2. These conditions were kind of worked from the conditions provided by City Council at the October meeting, as well as the revised, working with the revised site plan that staff received, in addition to those comments at that meeting. So that is RZ 24-004.
Thank you. Are there questions from the Commission for the City?
I've got one. So that the units you're talking about to the east, that already shaded section, is that an approved to go ahead already?
So that parcel is zone BG within the central business district. So no matter what this one, those parcels would go through design review board approval.
But that can go ahead as it is.
To the design review board, yes.
Right, okay. And so to the west of that, the majority of this site is RS-100 already. Is that correct?
Yes, I think
Oh,
around
70 to 80%?
3 acres of the 4.6.
Okay. And within that, what is the maximum density per acre that you can build?
RS-100 in the TCO, as it is currently, would be 3.7 units an acre.
3.7, okay, so we're looking at almost double the units per acre.
What's shown here is 7.
What's shown here is 7, right, okay.
Yeah.
So that would be, so a developer right now, if they purchase that piece of property, could go and build at 3.8,
Ish, yeah,
3.7? Okay,
7.
as it stands,
Yes, units per acre.
okay. That's it, that's all I'm.
And just to confirm, when you're talking about 7 units per acre, that's for the entire, both this section and the other sections, because we're at 52, and how many acres do we have here?
This is 32 units.
We're 32.
Oh, 32, sorry, it was 52, my apologies,
We're
yes it was.
6.6.
Yes it was, you're right, yeah.
These 7 units an acre is for the
Right.
subject parcels.
Back to the memorandum of understanding, MOU, will that produce a potential build out on that area based on the memorandum of understanding
You mean for the whole project?
later? The memorandum of understanding presently, almost exclusively, there's a few units that eke over onto that area. But aside from those units that eke over on that area, it's shown as a city park. Is there a plan to move forward on that later, at a later date, in a way that's not indicated on this?
The city park, I believe, is not part of the MOU, and that would.
Well, I thought that green area was the MOU.
I don't think that the city park is listed in the MOU.
But the area that's dark green right now on the east side, that is the area that is under the MOU exclusively. Is that accurate?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the MOU is an agreement with the city and the applicant.
Right. Right. Sorry. We're bringing Frank in now.
No, the MOU would be between the city and one of its development authorities. It would not be between the city and the applicant. So it would be with the city and its downtown development authority, related to the development of those property. And if a plan is presented that the city council approves, that they would work with the downtown development authority. But it is the city-owned properties, and the city-owned properties, I think, are the ones that were shown in yellow earlier, which would roughly equate to the green area.
And so based on that, that's future, who knows what. Is that accurate? Because it just depends on what the developer, if there's that memorandum of understanding between the city and the downtown development authority, or whichever it was, then later the developer will then go to them. This has not yet been purchased by the developer, is that correct?
No, this is owned by the city.
Owned by the city. And so they'll come in later in pursuit of purchasing that, and whatever happens with that will be a later issue. This is not necessarily a permanent area that's gonna be a city park, it could be whatever. Is that accurate?
It would be for future determination. It's currently owned by the city of Sugar Hill.
I think Phil's asking, can the developer go get that off you and build houses on it in the future? Or is that
hypothetically,
safe forever?
Yes, that would be, the city of Sugar Hill would have to sell the property or enter into an agreement with the developers.
Where do we access the memorandum of understanding, the MOU?
I don't,
Is that, I assume that's public?
It is not. It's a real estate matter that's been approved in executive session. It is not a public document.
My apologies, we've never dealt with an MOU before here, and so that's my question, just to confirm what we're looking at. And since it's been presented, I just want to make sure we understood how that was. And while it's indicated that there is no access, which there isn't in this parcel, there is access to Whitehead in the other parcel. One of the requirements is that there wouldn't be access in this parcel, but that other access, no, there isn't even a right of way there.
I'm talking about over here.
Right, this is, but that's in the other parcel, so when it says no access to Whitehead, that's only in the parcel we're talking about. There is access, but it's west, or excuse me, east of all the houses, so any access there would be east of the houses, which is a benefit. I assume that's why we did that there, is that accurate? Right, because that way you can't get from 20 to Whitehead, below these housing, so as to add traffic for the housing. I assume that's why we did that?
Yes.
Okay. Is that understood, that the reason we do not have access in what we're looking at right now is so that the traffic, if it's gonna come from 20 to Whitehead, it would be funneled, toward the city side, all these residents. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from the commission to the city? Okay, we'll open the public hearing for rezoning. Would the applicant like to speak toward the rezoning?
Good evening, I'm David Smith with Edgewood Homes, on behalf of the applicant and property owner, here to make a few comments regarding the proposed rezoning and, answer your questions, as best I can. If you know, we've been working on this a while with the city and, with all involved, I believe, planning commission, council, mayor, staff, and we worked with some residents. And so what we've done since the last few hearings is pretty dramatically revised the plan. And one thing about this process is, we propose what we believe is good for the community that we want to come be part of based on our experience. But until we get feedback, and some of it's good, some of it's questionable, but we listen. And we really believe we worked, pretty well together to produce and present the plan to you this evening that you're reviewing and that we're respectfully requesting your consideration and approval for. I'm not gonna re-present because I think staff's done a good job of presenting where we are tonight with the conditions. As you probably know, we were given the conditions that was proposed by Councilman at the meeting for, actually it became subject to the veto, but which is I guess why we had the opportunity to be here tonight. But in any event, we focused on those conditions and tried to produce a plan that would respect those conditions. And we're fine with what you're seeing tonight, and we believe it will work with this plan. The big things that we heard, and after further consideration, we really believe were good ideas, was to, number one, reduce the density as it gets near the RS-100 and RS-150 existing residents. And so that was a big focus there. Limit we clearly understood the connection between 20 and Whitehead Road, even though we had some gratuitous route before, but it was still fairly direct. And just for clarification, we are showing our primary entrance on Whitehead Road through a portion of the city property. We are not, we've not offered to purchase the property from the city. That's not our intent. Our intent is to work with the city. We're basing our desire to be here and do this proposed development because of the city park and the potential for the city park, as well as to be part of the central business district of Sugar Hill. But we are dependent on working with the city for this entrance from Whitehead Road. It's to be determined how the city may pursue a park or may pursue commercial uses along these, parcels that the city currently owns. That's yet to be determined. The last thing is parking was, we got a lot of questions about parking, and so what we tried to do on the two parcels that we're requesting zoning on is to show a good bit of green space along with the lower density. And the surface parking you see, that's about 50 spaces. Some of that would be used for the, residents within the community that would maybe, have guests over or utilize the amenity. That's where the pool and some of the common areas are located. But the idea is to make it extremely walkable. Some of the homes, the smaller homes, may not have a garage specifically, but they will have at least 2 surface parking spaces. That's how we've addressed everything that we've heard so far. The setbacks we understood clearly, and so we will respect the 15-foot setback abutting the existing residential land. And that's pretty much the highlights. I'd like to reserve our time for answering questions and further clarification. If you have any questions of me, just please let me know.
And thank you, David. You might remain there just for a second. And do you have any questions for David before he sits down?
No.
Just a few questions, a few indications, some positive things. Most of the reduction happened in the area we're dealing with, and so there is a significant reduction in density on there. Thank you. And thank you for the topographical map as well. Those are things, so appreciate that. And I see the no pass-through going through there, which will be positive because it will keep it from any additional traffic being dropped in before some of these houses. Those are all positive. As well as the elevation floor plans for A and F, those are potential, not.
They're specific to, we actually, since we, have the deferrals and the time, our design team designed these for Sugar Hill, not generic, examples, or examples of homes that we've built in other locations. So these are specifically for this development. It's just a sampling of them. I mean, typically we mix the architecture and housing type with both attached and detached. Most of these will be detached, we believe. We're very market driven. I've said this before. We're a fairly good sized, privately owned custom home builder. We're not a production builder. We can respond very quickly to market demand, and that's, I believe, why a lot of our projects are successful, even during the ups and downs. Because none of us can predict the market, and it's very difficult to come in and put a cookie cutter deal together and just hope it works.
Yeah.
That's not what we do. So yes, these are specific. They're in the preliminary stages. They're hand drawn. Literally, we work with a world-renowned designer and the 2 owners of the company. We're very talented, and they produce these drawings literally in a couple of days work session. So long-winded answer.
No, that's good. So what of this is kind of a settled commitment? You have 8.5 unit types with sizes. How settled is that size? As far as 20 by 40, 20 by 46, 24 by 6, 24 by 46?
What is that?
How settled is that commitment to those size types?
It's very settled. I mean, those are the footprint house sizes that we've been working with for years and years.
So whatever you build will be built on that size. So while you gave us A to F, we don't have B, C, D, and E, but you're saying that that's because you'll be adjusting those.
Right, and then we always end up in a community like this having several true custom built homes. But if we work within a footprint or a combination of 2 footprints that we already have established. And another reason is one thing I meant to say, the reason we don't say this is exactly going to be X number of homes, we put a maximum here, but sometimes, a buyer may want to put 2 parcels, 2 lots together to build a little larger cottage, for example. and that would reduce the total number of homes and reduce the density per acre. But we just don't know until we get into it and see what the market bears.
So in the bottom left corner of this section, my apologies here, look, in the purple, units 12, 13, and 14C, can you see those in the bottom? There's one two-car parking, and there's no other parking anywhere near that. What's the access to parking in that area?
13 and 14, the garages just aren't illustrated.
Okay.
But there are, the alley G, which is the concrete private drive alley, that's access in the garage for those units. It's just not, it's just not illustrated there.
And the same is true with G. It's indicated as a house potential, but there's no indication on the site plan that G exists. So I assume that means at least I say it's indicated. It's indicated in the written, and I think it's indicated in the key too. No, not in the key. No, it's not in the key, but it's still written it's in your written section. I assume maybe that's been done away with, or on the second page you have unit type G custom design unit. That's just saying that there may be, as you indicated, there may be some that get combined together, and that's yet to be indicated. Okay, very good. Yeah, and again, some of these things don't necessarily totally make sense because you have 156 square feet for unit E, 3-story, 1,056, which would be 350 square feet per story, which would be 19 by 19, but then it says it's 20 by 30, so maybe it's just math going on there. Yeah, the math doesn't match. So I'm going, okay, so we've got some, so these are approximations. You're indicating this is approximately the kind of thing that's gonna go in here. It won't go any denser than this. The general layout will be this. The sizes may change somewhat.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
At least the way we understand the process, assuming we get the opportunity to come back for a design review board, which is presented to the council, it would be, the plans that we would produce would be very specific and very detailed at that time. They will be based and reflect what you see here, that we're showing this evening.
Any other questions? Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay.
Are there any other that would like to speak in favor of RZ 24000? Seeing none, are there any that would like to speak in opposition?
Can I ask you a question?
No.
Okay. All right, I'll ask you later. This is still high.
Excuse me, ma'am, can she use the mic? Can you pull that mic? Yeah, there, thank you very much.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, and if you'd state your name.
Yeah, my name is Bass Grimes. I live at 799 Whitehead Road. So you can see why I would be interested here. Again, I've listened to this and gone over these drawings, and this is still high density. I live here. I don't want the central business district coming down Whitehead. It's coming down, there's property back there, it's just gonna keep coming. And I don't like this density near my house. I can see where we've gone from what, 12 an acre to down to 8 or 7. It's still too dense. There's enough high density places to live around here. There's too many. They're still being built. I just don't understand why we continue with the high density. I don't understand that. When we're trying to get people in here, we elect officials that are with the lower density. And so I'm up here again. I'll be up here on the 13th of January again, talking against this in this plan. I just don't want to see the CBD coming down. Why these two lots right here? Why can't you just leave that off? Whitehead, nobody's done a travel study of what it would do to Whitehead Road. Again, coming out down here. What's that gonna do to the traffic on Whitehead Road? Has anybody done a study of that? You say it has no impact, but I've never seen a study or anything to show that, so that's my comment, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rand. Yes.
Good evening. I'm Paul Grimes. I live at 791 Whitehead Road. I'm in the city. Within half a mile of this proposed rezoning, so it affects me, like she said. After the amendments that Councilman Page introduced and y'all seem to go along with, I'm more tolerant of that. In my opinion, my concern is the CBD. I don't want business doings on Whitehead. It's a residential street. That's why it's 25 miles an hour. It's residential. I don't want the business. And as the developer said, CBD, he mentioned potential commercial. I don't want commercial on Whitehead. We don't need it. Number two is if it does get into the CBD, I do not like what has happened downtown. Whoever is involved with what has happened downtown, the building, the concrete, the tearing down the green spaces we had, I don't want those people affecting what's right down the street from me in the CBD. I don't trust the city manager, I don't trust the mayor, I don't trust half the people on the council to do what's right. I don't want them affecting what happens on my street. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Rand.
Good evening. James January, 1282 Frontier Drive, Sugar Hill. I really don't have a dog in the hunt, so to speak, in this particular project, but I do see a lot of things that are wrong with the project. First of all, I think it's been mentioned that property that fronts on Whitehead or fronts Whitehead, I think that should be left as RS-100 or 150, whatever that would be, and the neighboring properties would be. I think it's a horrible intrusion on the bordering properties to have, I think it's a total of about 9 properties that they're gonna have to suddenly have as neighbors. The other problem I have too is that the plan that they're showing right now has too many structures built too close to the rest of the properties along Whitehead. I mean, I don't think I could get approval to build a shed on my property closer to my neighbor, as close to my neighbors as some of these houses will be, you know, on those Whitehead properties. I think if anything, at least there needs to be much more of a buffer, you know, for the folks that live along Whitehead. And again, I think that piece of property that fronts Whitehead, that needs to be left as RS-100, 150. The third thing too is I think there's discussion about city property and whether they're going to buy the city property. The gentleman indicated that they're not, but the rest of the exhibit that's shown shows actually many structures impinging on property that's all now owned by the city. So why would you draw them there if you're not going to put them there? I think there's still some issues. Overall, I think it has some potential, and I certainly understand that these folks built some really nice homes, but I think there really needs to be a lot more redesigning of this project to really make it suitable for the city in general, and especially for the folks who live on Whitehead. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Just where are we on time? 5 minutes, thank you.
Andrew Schultz, 5350 Windswept Trace. Appreciate the council's questions because they are important questions. I'm having a hard time, as Mr. Grimes said, with the way the city's ready to turn over property to Downtown Development Authority and be a part of something that has never been clearly explained what we're trying to do. And then Mr. January brought up something important. First thing I noticed is those properties, they're showing houses encroaching on that park. And then there was a big push during the council meeting to appropriate monies to build the park out. So there's obviously a lot of mixed interest in this whole thing, and it keeps trying to be pushed through by changing codes, changing what the zoning is, and cramming more stuff in there. I appreciate that the builders reduced it a little bit, but that's still a lot of houses you're gonna encroach on single-family homes that are used to having some space around them breathing area. I don't know what else to say about it. It's gonna keep trying to be pushed through or finagled through, obviously. And hopefully our council members will do what they're supposed to do. And I appreciate y'all listening to this again. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Any other that would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, Mr. Smith, would you like to respond to any of those? You have how many minutes did Mr. 5, so you have 5 minutes to be response to any of those.
Yes, thank you. Just a couple for clarification. The city-owned parcels, yes, some of the homes are shown currently on the plan being in a staggered arrangement and location, encroaching slightly across that border between our property that we have under contract to purchase and the city-owned properties which we do not have under contract, which we are not negotiating with the city to purchase. The idea and intent will be for us, if we are able to proceed, is to work with the city on a boundary line agreement to basically even trade swap and create a meandering property line to allow a more, from our view, desirable and organic layout of these particular homes.
Excuse me, sorry, Claire, could you pull up that full site plan again, please? Okay, thank you.
And if that's not something the city is interested in doing with us, then we'll simply pull the homes back across the line, so to speak, and make it work. But from our perspective, based on land planning, landscape architecture, house architecture, and just the way we like to locate private gardens and I guess adjacent to public spaces, this is how we would propose to do it. So two things we would also, as I said, be desirable to work with the city is this boundary line agreement and our entrance road through the city property. We obviously have been very much in favor of the city park if that's something the city decides to move forward with. If not, we're fine with the property staying the way it is. I mean, it's open space. Everyone's always wanted to preserve the tree, and that's very much what we'd like to do as well. If the city chooses to, down the road, to pursue restaurants, for example, on the corner there, I'm just using that as an example because we were showing that as possibilities in previous plans. We would entertain the idea of working with the city on that, but it's not predicated on moving forward with what you're seeing tonight. There's no relation.
In response to one question they had regarding, because this is CBD and businesses, you don't show any businesses in this, the area we're dealing with, and you don't have any intention?
There is no plans whatsoever to revise what you see tonight on the 2 parcels for rezoning or the adjacent parcel we are proposing to develop. There's no businesses. There's not.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, we will close the public hearing. Are there any further questions from the commission for either the applicant or among ourselves, or comments? Can we entertain a motion tonight?
Yeah, I do, I motion that we deny the rezoning. Having said that, I do wanna say, I love what you've done, I love the look of everything that's here. It's a density thing for me. Had this come prior to a lot of the densification that had happened downtown, I would have a different feeling on where we are. But just from where we are right now with the number of, houses and residents in this central area. You know, I realize we're only just dealing with this part, not the other city-owned part, that can happen, without any changes. But I just don't feel comfortable moving down, further down Whitehead with the, rezoning.
Okay, any discussion regarding that? Do you have a second? Okay, any discussion? Okay,
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what Brian said, say I appreciate them coming back and reducing the density on this. I still see some problems as other people have stated, but my personal thing is extending the CBD further out than what it is already at. So. Extending the CBD out further than what it currently is. I think the CBD was drawn with the intention of the city being the size that it is. We haven't grown at all. At least geographically, we haven't extended our borders, so I don't see extending the CBD out as being necessary.
any other questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed?
2, 4, 3 against.
All right, that failed for lack of passing. Do you have another motion? Boy, this would make it 2 for 2, which is, I'd rather give some indication.
Just as a kind of an addendum to what I said earlier, you know, I don't see why this couldn't be reworked to work within, say, an R36 zoning, as opposed to extending the CBD out. That's my biggest hang up, is getting the CBD out further than what it currently is.
My apologies, I'm going to stop. No motions I said no other motions.
Can't be
Yes, it can.
I mean, personally, I like the project, and my only real hang-up is not the CBD extension, it's what's gonna happen to the city park and the tree. And whether or not that ends up getting developed at a certain point. And if there's no motion, if there's nothing in place to make sure that that's indefinitely protected, then.
Yeah, now, to be consistent with this, we're not actually voting on that.
No, I know, but that would impact my decision on terms of where we are with having this CBD extended. But, you know, like Brian says, with a 36 in place where it's not part of the CBD, that might be an option as well. But I don't know where that lies with the staff in terms of development.
As far as I'm aware, after emailing the staff earlier, the 36 would change setbacks and whatnot for this project, and because they have different varying housing types, I don't know how that plays into how it fits into Appendix C, which governs a lot of how they can build on that. But it looks to me like most of these are set up as either townhomes or cottage-style houses anyway, which will fit within Appendix C of the zoning.
You think you're downsizing homes?
What's that?
You think they're downsizing type homes?
I would say that they're probably starter homes or people downsizing, one of the two.
I would say the price point would probably be downsizing,
Yeah,
which might be a good thing to have in the community
sure.
with, you know,
There would be a possibility to table with the suggestion of, I don't know, table with the suggestion of R36, or I don't know if that even makes sense as a motion. That's more of a deny would that be accurate? There is a possibility you could, and Frank correct me on this, because these were extending out beyond the denial with such significant agreement, but with the suggestion of not extending the CBD, but to rezone to R36 instead. That's potentially, Frank, would that be a potential?
No, I think you either approve with conditions or you vote to deny. I mean, members have stated their purpose and those will be in the minutes. And so council will see from the minutes that there was a discussion about R36. You either, if you're gonna deny, you deny. You're not denying and saying to do something else. You're just denying, and council can read in the minutes why you made that determination.
Understanding that, where are you on that? Are you pretty much the same place you
yeah,
were?
either that or saying, I mean, I'm definitely not against the project.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's a good project.
yeah. I would move that, we approve this project with the stipulations, recommendations of the city.
Which recommendation?
There's 8 of them. Would you mind flipping to the second screen?
Page 107.
You can, these are, yeah, here they are, the exhibit one.
One page more back. There you go.
Yeah, those are 5 and the other 4.
For those parcels, R7 306 011A and R7 306 008, which parcels are those referring to in the second recommendation?
Those are the ones that are on this main page. If you, those are these right here.
Okay, thank you.
Which is primarily one significant parcel and one smaller parcel right on one.
I'm not understanding how that reads then. It says the buffers against those 2 parcels shall be.
Oh, excuse me, those are, yes, those two, those are the left and the right.
Okay,
My
but I'm
apologies.
showing that there's currently a 5-foot and a 10-foot buffer on those, not a 15-foot buffer. As drawn. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So they would have to adjust that. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So they would need to increase those buffers then, 5 feet.
The
5 feet on one side, 10 feet on the other.
yes. So we presently have on the floor a motion to approve with the staff recommendations, RZ 24004. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
3, 4, 2
Three.
against.
3. All opposed? 2.
Motion carries.
Motion carries, okay. By the way, thank you, gentlemen and lady, for your input on that. We now have new business.